Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. There was once a time when the name Nail Yakupov invoked feelings of excitement and untapped potential from fans, yet over the last 8 years it has gone down in history for all the wrong reasons. After all, Yakupov was the top pick of the 2012 draft, back when Edmonton seemingly picked first overall every single year, and he is commonly remembered as one of the worst first overall picks of all time, thanks to him playing just 6 seasons in the league and scoring only 136 points in 350 games. Since his departure from the NHL in 2018, many people stopped following Yakupov's career or chose to forget about him altogether as the Russian looked to rebound back home in the KHL, and while his early production looked rather promising, his performance over the last season or so tells a much different story. In fact, thanks to his recent play and the business side of the game taking precedence, Yakupov has found himself suiting up for more teams just this season alone than some players joined during their entire pro careers. So in today's video, let's take a look at what the forward has been up to during the current 2021 season, as we explore Nail Yakupov's triple trade year. In order to understand why Yakupov has been traded so many times this season, allow me to quickly summarise his last few years post-NHL. That way we're all up to speed with his more recent performances, and the context behind some of the decisions that have been made over the last few months. We'll begin on July 3rd, 2018, when Russian forward Nail Yakupov, who had spent the prior 17-18 season with the Colorado Avalanche and had scored a rather disappointing 16 points in 58 regular season games, revealed that he would be moving to Russia for the 18-19 season as he had signed a 1-year contract with KHL side SKA St. Petersburg. This meant that after 6 seasons in the NHL, predominantly with the Edmonton Oilers, Yakupov had finished his tenure in North America, having never suited up in a single Stanley Cup playoff game, and had scored a grand total of 62 goals and 136 points in 350 regular season games. Once he had returned home, Yakupov would take to the ice in the KHL for the first time since the 2012 lockout and look to get his career back on track with St. Petersburg. Though he would produce a strong debut season with SKA and earn himself a 3-year contract extension with the team thanks to potting 23 goals and 33 points in 47 games, his sophomore year on the team would see a noticeable decline in his numbers. During the 2019-20 KHL season, Yakupov would score just 10 goals and 20 points in 46 games, while being named a healthy scratch on multiple occasions. In fact, Yakupov's play was seen as so expendable by the end of the year that he failed to make it into the lineup for any of St. Petersburg's 4 postseason games that year, before the 2020 Gagarin Cup playoffs were suspended as a result of the global pandemic. So after 2 seasons with SKA, Nail Yakupov had produced 33 goals and 53 points in 93 regular season games, with a further 8 points in 14 playoff games during his first year on the team. Not the numbers you would expect from a player once considered to be a top prospect in the entire hockey world, but he could have played worse, right? Now, if you thought Yakupov's career had been turbulent before, the upcoming season was ready to kick things into a completely different gear. Once the 2020 off-season began, teams across the KHL were looking to offload large chunks of their player salaries and renegotiate many of their current contracts thanks to the league enacting a hard salary cap for the upcoming 2021 season. With Yakupov about to enter year 2 of his 3-year contract, in which he would earn an estimated 75 million rubles, approximately $974,000, and given his performance the season prior was mediocre at best, St. Petersburg were eager to make some changes to his deal. Supposedly, St. Petersburg's front office met with Yakupov and asked him to take a pay cut in order for his salary to better reflect his recent performance and help SKA free up some extra cap space. When Yakupov quite understandably refused to do so, since the team had signed him to an agreed salary for the next 2 years, St. Petersburg quickly placed Yakupov on the trading block and looked to offload his deal to another team. Soon after, on May 8, 2020, the former first overall pick had been dealt, as it was announced that Yakupov had been traded to divisional rival Vityaz Podolsk, a team captained by former NHLer and bongo drum enthusiast Alexander Semin. As Yakupov made the move to Podolsk and joined his new team, it is rumoured that Vityaz also wished to renegotiate Yakupov's deal and reduce his salary, adding that if he failed to compromise or if he outright refused, Vityaz would simply trade him again or even terminate his contract. After 5 weeks had gone by, and with the Russian forwards supposedly holding firm, Vityaz kept to their promise and traded Yakupov on June 14th, as they shipped him off to Eastern Conference side Amur Khabarovsk. So having produced a noticeably down year, and having spent the entirety of the 2020 playoffs sat in the press box, Nail Yakupov was joining his third KHL team in less than 6 weeks, thanks to his supposed unwillingness to renegotiate his contract. Now on the flip side of these rumours, according to several articles written by sports.ru, Yakupov has a completely different story as to what happened. According to the man himself, there was never any discussion with SKA regarding taking a pay cut. They simply told him on May 8th that he had been traded from the team. Also, Yakupov claims that once he had moved to Vityaz, talks between the two sides were going very well, to the point where Yakupov was supposedly willing to reduce his salary for the upcoming season. However, he claims that nothing came from those meetings, and the next time he heard from the team was when they informed him that they had traded him once again. Obviously, there are two very conflicting stories here, so I'll let you make your own judgment as to which you believe the most. Don't get me wrong though, Yakupov was well within his right to decline a pay cut if those rumours are true, as he had cashed in at the right time and earned himself a pretty sizable contract thanks to his strong debut with St. Petersburg. That said, if the deal didn't include a no trade or no movement clause, both SKA and then Vityaz following were also well within their right to trade him elsewhere, especially if he wouldn't compromise given his recent performance or help the team out by reducing his salary. Such is the business of professional hockey, folks. But regardless of this unique off-season, Yakupov had plenty to be excited about for the upcoming year. He was getting a fresh start on a new roster on the other side of the league. He would likely receive top 6 or even first-line minutes, given he was one of the more talented players on the roster, and if he could regain his production from a few years prior, he could be a big reason as to why Amur would shift from playoff hopeful to legitimate contender. However, Yakupov wouldn't be sticking around Khabarovsk for long. As the 2021 KHL season got underway, Yakupov would take to the ice with Amur and look to become a key member of the roster by returning to his 20-goal form of years past. Unfortunately though, the Russian forward would end up doing quite the opposite, as he scored just a single goal and 7 points in the first 15 games of the year, putting him on track to produce similar or even worse numbers than his final year with St. Petersburg. This lack of production supposedly prompted Amur to become the third team that year to request that Yakupov renegotiate his contract and take a pay cut, given his performance was nowhere near on par with the salary he was earning. As you might expect, Yakupov supposedly refused to cut his salary once again, so Amur wasted little time in placing him on the trading block. Now on the flip side, according to another sports.ru article, Yakupov himself suggests that Amur might have requested a pay cut and subsequently looked to trade him because the team hadn't quite paid Yakupov his entire salary while he was on the roster. In fact, Yakupov claims that Amur owes him so much money that the case may have to go to court if it isn't resolved soon. Just when you think the drama is over, folks, another curveball gets thrown into the mix. Isn't the KHL just the best? But anyway, all of this culminated in Yakupov being traded once again just a few weeks ago on October 20th, as he was shipped off to divisional rival Avangard Omsk in exchange for monetary compensation, perhaps so Amur could finish paying off his salary. So in the span of just 6 months, Nail Yakupov had been traded 3 different times and was joining his 4th KHL team just this year alone. God, I do hope he's got a loyalty program for all those flights. I'd hate to see him miss out on all of those beautiful air miles. Interestingly though, soon after Yakupov joined Avangard, the Russian forward agreed to take a pretty sizable pay cut for the rest of the year. In fact, Yakupov supposedly agreed to reduce his salary from 75 million rubles down to just 25 million rubles, approximately $320,000. This immediate acceptance in reducing his paycheck either supports Yakupov's earlier claims that he had always been willing to renegotiate his contract since he came to an agreement with Avangard so quickly, or perhaps it supports the rumours that he had been playing hardball all this time, but the third trade prompted a change of heart. Maybe Yakupov had finally realised that if a 4th straight team had asked him to reduce his salary, and he was supposedly traded from the previous 3 teams because he wouldn't, he might need to compromise a little. After all, if Yakupov didn't take a pay cut, he might not be in the KHL by the end of the year, especially given his production, or lack thereof, so far this season. Either way, Yakupov finally bit the bullet and took one for the team. So where does that leave him today? Well, at the time of this recording, Nail Yakupov has been a member of Avangard's roster for the past 3 weeks, and though he started off hot by scoring in each of his first 2 games, including against his former team SKA St. Petersburg, he has since cooled off by going pointless in the next 2, meaning that so far, he has scored 2 points in 4 games with the team. With over half the year still left to play, and with Avangard looking to make a deep run in the playoffs, I find it highly unlikely that Yakupov will be traded for a 4th time this year, given that Omsk will likely benefit from the Russian forward's decade of experience and his decent depth scoring numbers down the stretch, although crazier things have certainly happened. Considering he is still just 27 years of age and had already experienced a rollercoaster ride in the NHL even before this year began, here's hoping that Yakupov can find a more permanent home in the KHL, return to his 20-goal production of years past, and carve out a strong second half of his career back home. After all, I don't think there'll be much of a career left for him if he doesn't. And that was a look at Nail Yakupov's triple trade year. What do you guys think about Yakupov's eventful season in the KHL or his career as a whole in the NHL? Do you think he can bounce back over the next few seasons, or is his career on its last legs now? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, Jordan Whitehead, Paul Mallia, Roman from London, The Legacy, Tom from Finland, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.